Hello, everyone. On today's episode of Tornado Stories, we travel back in time to May 27th, 1997, Gerald, Texas, 3:45 in the evening, the Double E Estates subdivision. A massive multi-vortex twister is entering the neighborhood. People are hunkered down in their homes, waiting for the storm to pass. But this storm is not your typical thunderstorm. In fact, it is not your typical tornado. It is a massive half-mile wide funnel with wind speeds exceeding 300 miles per hour. This monster was moving at only 3 miles per hour, and it grew in size to 3/4 of a mile wide. It struck its first home in the northeastern part of the subdivision. A clock was found in the debris with its time stopped at 3:48 p.m., marking the time the nightmare started for the Double E subdivision. This monster unleashed 300-mile-per-hour winds on the neighborhoods for 3 minutes, completely demolishing homes, leaving only concrete slabs remaining. Unfortunately, when the carnage was done, 27 people lost their lives, including 5 members of the Igo family, 4 members of the Moring family, and 3 members of the Smith family. Hundreds of cattle were also lost in the storm. The storm was very unusual in many ways. Its path was not your typical tornado path. It moved from northeast to southwest, opposite of the direction most tornadoes move in. Its movement was only a crawl, at 3 miles per hour. This only enhanced its destruction. The upper level conditions supporting tornadoes were only at moderate levels, but the low levels were loaded with super rich moisture. What enhanced the localized severe parameters was the location of a weak cold front to the northwest of Gerald and a gravity wave moving from northeast to southwest. When these collided, it was like a bomb going off. The only safe place to be in the path of this storm was underground. However, there were survivors. One of them was 9-year-old Christian LaFrance. She said she remembered her and her parents were looking out the doorway and they could see a skinny little string. This was the infancy of the monster. Her dad told her to take the cushions off of the sofa and take them to the bathroom. They all huddled there, and Christian got into the tub with her back against the wall. Her mother sat in front of it. There wasn't enough room in the tub for her dad, so he squatted next to it. Kristen said she heard what sounded like pots and pans banging each other. I remember my dad saying, "Hold on tight." She said in an instant everything was gone. The wall behind her fell on her, pushing her down. Dirt filled her mouth, and she couldn't breathe. She remembered trying to spit it out. Then everything went black. Kristen awoke in the front yard, rain pouring down on her. It stung as it hit the gashes on her body. A large chunk of her right arm was torn away. She had a long gash on her hip going around to her behind, a cut on her knee, a cut on her head, but no broken bones. She could lift her left arm and her head, but nothing else. She looked around and her home was gone. The bathtub that she sat in moments before had disintegrated. They never found a piece of it. She heard someone screaming. It was her mom several feet away, buried under a tree with a broken jaw. Kristen was able to recognize her by her gold watch. Her dad was nowhere in sight. She learned later he died. Her aunt identified him by looking at a Polaroid photo. Kristen and her mom were taken to the hospital. They spent a month in recovery. Kristen's life was never the same. She lost 2 friends who lived across the street. The survivors of the Gerald tornado and the Gerald community at large rebuilt their neighborhood. But the scars remain, because nothing can bring back the people who lost their lives in this awful storm. This concludes the Gerald, Texas tornado story. Thanks for watching.